Hello, my dear students. How are you all? I hope you all are doing very well. Okay, so again, I'm here in front of you with a new chapter. The name of this new chapter is The Last Cab Ride. Okay, actually, my dear student, this is a very emotional story. Okay, emotional kind of a story. क्यों इमोशनल है? क्योंकि इस स्टोरी के थ्रू आप ये देखने वाले हो कि किस तरीके से एक कैब ड्राइवर ने एक लेडी की ओल्ड लेडी की बहुत बड़ी मदद की. Okay, and there is a and they form the emotional contact between them. Okay, so come with me and start the chapter. We have conditioned to think that our lives revolve around great moments, but great moments often catch us unaware, beautifully wrapped in what others may consider as small. So, my dear student, before starting this chapter, I want to explain. I want to explain you the meaning of these two lines. Okay, so according to the first line, we always think that our life, okay, we always have a thought in our mind as well as in our heart that our life completely revolve around the great moments which we experience in our life. Okay, so the meaning of this first line is we the human beings always thought that the greatest moment of our life always revolve around the moments which we feel. Okay, but great moments often catch us unaware, beautifully wrapped in what others may consider a small one. But you know what, my dear students, on the other hand side, okay, maybe for other one, the things which we consider, oh no, that's not a big deal for me. But maybe the things which is not a big deal for me, maybe make a big deal for other person. Okay, so इस दो लाइन का मतलब ये है माय डियर स्टूडेंट्स, हमको ये लगता है कि हमारे लाइफ का सबसे बड़ा मोमेंट क्या होता है जब हम किसी चीज को बहुत खुशी के साथ फील करते हैं और हमें लगता है फाइनली मेरे इतने लाइफ में जो मैंने स्पेंड किया है उसमें यही मोमेंट सबसे ग्रेटेस्ट मोमेंट है. ठीक है, बट दूसरे लाइन में क्या कहा जा रहा है कि मे भी हो सकता है जिन खुशियों को हमें ये लगता है ठीक है ये तो कोई बहुत बड़ी बात नहीं है मेरे लिए, हो सकता है जो चीज मेरे लिए बहुत बड़ी बात नहीं वो किसी और के लिए बहुत बड़ी बात हो. तो यही दो लाइंस आप समझ सकते हो द होल थिंग अबाउट दिस चैप्टर. ओके, सो कम विथ मी एंड स्टार्ट द चैप्टर. 20 years ago, I drove a cab for living. So, in this chapter, there are two important characters. There is an old lady, okay, and there is a cab driver, okay, a cab driver and an old lady. This whole story is based on these two characters, okay. So, the story starts with this cab driver is saying 20 years ago, okay, 20 years ago, for my own survival, I drive, I drove cab. Okay, I was a cab driver. Once I arrived in the middle of the night for a pickup at a building that was dark, except for a single light in the ground floor window. So आप जानते हो जो cab drivers होता है, you can book cab anytime. Okay, maybe at the day, maybe in the night. Okay, so a lady booked a cab. Okay, and when I reached at the given address, I have seen that there was a building. Okay, I have seen there was a building, and that building was completely dark. Okay, means there was no light on that building except only a single light. Okay, सिर्फ और सिर्फ मैंने ये देखा कि जब मैं उस बिल्डिंग के पास जाता हूँ मैं ये देखता हूँ माय डियर स्टूडेंट्स दैट पूरा का पूरा बिल्डिंग डार्क है, उसमें लाइट ही नहीं है एक्सेप्ट एक सिंगल लाइट को छोड़ के. मीन्स इतनी बड़ी बिल्डिंग है और सिर्फ एक सिंगल लाइट है, वो सिंगल लाइट आपके ग्राउंड फ्लोर पे है. ठीक है, under these circumstances, many drivers would just honk once or twice, wait a minute, then drive away. So, my dear students, under these conditions, maximum cab drivers, what they have to, they just honk, means they just press their horn button only for one or two times. And if the customer didn't come to board the cab, they left. Okay. But I had seen too many impoverished people who depended on taxis as their only means of transportation. So ये कैब ड्राइवर ये कह रहे हैं पर मैंने बहुत से ऐसे लोगों को देख माय डियर स्टूडेंट्स की वो क्या करते हैं, उनके लिए ट्रांसपोर्टेशन का इकलौता जरिया ही ये कैब होता है. अगर उन्होंने कैब को बोर्ड नहीं किया देन दे आर गोइंग then they are going to lose any means of traveling. Okay, unless a situation smelled of danger, I always went to the door. So when I was a cab driver, I always think I can sense the danger. I can sense the dangerous situation. Okay, and if I feel comfortable that this situation is not dangerous, then only I always went to the door of the customer. This passenger might be someone who needs my assistance. I reasoned to myself, so I walked to the door and knocked. फिर मुझे ऐसा फील हुआ कि इस पूरे बिल्डिंग में अगर सिर्फ एक सिंगल लाइट जल रही है, मे बी जिन्होंने कैब को बुक किया है, मे बी that person, maybe that he or she need my assistance, need my help. That's why I went and knocked the door. Just a minute, answered a frail elderly voice. और जब मैंने डोर पे नॉक किया, then immediately I can heard a old lady voice, and she was saying that, wait a moment. I could hear something being dragged across the floor. Okay, and when that lady said that, just wait for a moment, immediately at that time I heard that someone is dragging something. Okay, after a long pause, the door opened, and after taking a long pause, okay, finally the door opened in front of me. Here you can see, my dear students, the door finally opened in the front of this cab driver. A small woman in her 80s stood before me. Okay, so it is clear by seeing the picture. Okay, जिन्होंने गेट खोला था वो एक ओल्ड लेडी थी जो कि मे बी 80s की रही होंगी. ठीक है, ये 80s का मतलब 1980s की नहीं, 80 years में. ठीक है. She was wearing a printed dress and pillbox hat with a veil pinned on it like somebody out of a 1940s movie. By her side was a small nylon suitcase. Okay, so in this 4 to 5 lines, the cab driver is describing the whole appearance of that old lady. Okay, and in the words of that cab driver, the old lady was wearing a printed dress, having a pillbox. Now, what is the meaning of pillbox? Pillbox means a box in which medicines are kept. Okay, so that boxes are called as pillboxes. And she was also taking a veil. Now, what is the meaning of veil? A transparent piece of cloth, maybe cotton cloth or maybe nylon cloth, okay, through which the face of any lady wants to hide. Okay, and by her whole appearance, she was giving me the vibe of the lady from 1940s movie. Okay, and along her side, I can see there is a small suitcase. Okay, so my dear students, here you can see there are the few words. Okay, and along with their word meanings: honk, sound of a car horn; pillbox, shallow cylindrical box for holding pills; hat of a similar shape; frail, fragile and delicate; veil, piece of iso-transparent fabric attached to a woman's head. Okay, the apartment looked as if no one had lived in it for years. And you can see, my dear student, this is the whole apartment in which that old lady was living. So in the words of the cab driver, that by looking at that apartment, I can easily tell you that no one is living in this whole apartment for many years. All the furnitures were all the furnitures was covered with sheets, and all the furnitures which was present at that apartment are covered with sheets. There were no clocks on the wall, no knickknacks or utensils on the counters. In the corner was a card box filled with photos and glassware. ठीक है. अच्छा, जब सारे के सारे फर्नीचर्स हमारे कपड़े से ढके हुए थे, ठीक है, और स्टिल there is a no single wall clock is present on that home. Okay, और सारे के सारे बर्तन ऐसे लग रहे थे एक जगह पे इकट्ठा किए हुए हैं. ठीक है, और यहाँ पे एक कॉर्नर पे एक कार्डबोर्ड था जिसमें फोटोज और ग्लासवेयर्स रखे हुए थे. मींस कॉर्नर में एक बहुत ही बड़ा सा कार्डबोर्ड था. ठीक है, उस कार्डबोर्ड में बहुत सारे ओल्ड फोटो फ्रेम्स रखे हुए थे और साथ ही साथ ग्लासवेयर्स वगैरह भी चीजें उसमें रखी हुई थी. Would you carry my bag out of the car? She said. Now the old lady, in a very polite way, requested me that, young man, can you please take my bag? I took the suitcase to the cab, then returned to assist the woman. And when I take her suitcase and put that suitcase in my cab, and after I went to assist, I went to help that old lady. She took my arm and we walked slowly toward the curb. Okay. She kept thanking me for my kindness. Okay. And I took, okay, she took my arm. Means that old lady took my arm. Means that old lady hold my arms and started walking towards the direction of cab. And throughout the journey, she was thanking me because I have helped her. It's nothing, I told her. I just try to treat my passengers the way I would want my mother treated. So when that old lady is continuously thanking me, immediately I told there is no need to thank me because I want to help those person in that way in which way I want to help my own mother. Oh, you are such a good boy, she said. So, when I tell that old lady that I want to help her because I just want to help my mother, okay? So, that old lady very impressed with me and she said, oh, you are really a very nice man. When we got into the cab, she gave me an address then asked, okay, and when me and that old lady sat in the cab, immediately she handed over me the address where I have to drop her. Could you drive through downtown? Now that old lady asked, young man, can you please drive the car through the downtown? अच्छा डाउनटाउन का क्या मतलब होता है? मतलब वो जो ओल्ड लेडी थी वो ये चाहती थी कि वो पूरा शहर घूमे, ठीक है? तो उन्होंने कैब ड्राइवर से रिक्वेस्ट किया कि यंग मैन क्या आप प्लीज पूरे शहर का चक्कर लगाते हुए ड्राइव कर सकते हैं? It's not the shortest way, I answered quickly. So I thought maybe that lady don't know the way. The maybe that old lady don't know the way leads to that address. So I immediately responded, ma'am, the way which you are telling me to take you is not a shortest way. Oh, I don't mind. She said, I am in no hurry. I am on my way to Hospice. Now, my dear students, when I said, ma'am, this is not the shortest way, immediately she said, yes, I know that road is not the shortest road, but still I am no hurry. Okay, I have no hurry. Okay, I want to spend my quality time to explore the beauty of the city. You can take the long route. Okay. I looked in the rear view mirror. Her eyes were glistering. ठीक है, तो जब उन्होंने ये बात बोली मैंने rear view mirror से देखा. अच्छा आप लोगों को पता है what is the meaning of rear view mirror? ओके, कार में जो शीशे लगे होते हैं, ठीक है? तो मैंने वहां से देखा कि उनकी आंखों में आंसू थे और आंसू के साथ उनकी आंखों में एक चमक भी थी. ओके, I don't have any family left, she continued. The doctor says I don't have to live very long. Now that old lady started narrating her life story. She was saying me that I don't have any family member. Okay, I live alone, and according to the doctor, I don't have long time. Okay, I'm going to die soon. I quietly raced over and shut off the meter. What route would you like me to take? I asked. अच्छा जब उन्होंने मुझे ये बात बोली मैंने immediately मीटर शट डाउन कर दिया. ये आप सब जानते हो माय डियर स्टूडेंट्स जब हम कैब को बोर्ड करते हैं then the meter started. Okay. So ये जो कैब ड्राइवर थे इन्होंने जब ओल्ड लेडी की बात सुनी immediately that cab driver shut down the meter because he wants to explore the city along with that old lady. Okay. सो उन्होंने ये पूछा ओल्ड लेडी से कि आप मुझे बता सकती हैं आप किस रास्ते से जाना चाहती हैं. For the next 2 hours, we drove through the city, and for the next 2 hours, we literally explored the whole city. She showed me the building where she had once worked as an elevator operator. And while me and that old lady are exploring the whole city, at one moment, she showed me, okay, a building. And that building, once upon a time, she was working as an elevator operator. We drove through the neighborhood where she and her husband had lived when they were newlywed, and she also tell me to take her the neighborhood area where where she and her husband, okay, spent their time as a newly wedded couple. She had me pull up in front of a furniture warehouse that had once been a ballroom where she had gone dancing as a girl. अच्छा, उन्होंने उसके बाद मुझे एक फर्नीचर का वेयर हाउस भी दिखाया. Now what is the meaning of warehouse, my dear student? Actually, it is a godown area. तो उन्होंने मुझे वो एरिया भी दिखाया जहाँ पे वो जब यंग थी तो वो एक बॉल रूम हुआ करता था. ओके, at that time there was a no furniture warehouse and in place of that furniture warehouse there was a ballroom. Okay, a ballroom में वो एक बार डांस करने के लिए गई थी. Sometimes she would ask me to show in front of a particular building or corner and would sit staring into a darkness saying nothing. अच्छा, कभी कभी वो बीच बीच में ना मुझे किसी एक पर्टिकुलर बिल्डिंग की तरफ इशारा करती बट वो कुछ नहीं बोलती थी, खामोश होकर चुपचाप बैठ जाती थी. As the first hint of sun was creasing the horizon, she suddenly said, I am tired. Let's go now. अच्छा, और जब उन्हें ऐसा लगता है कि अब सूरज उगने वाला है, now it is the almost time of sunrise, immediately she said, listen, young gentleman, I'm tired now. Okay, so I'm tired now. So let me take to the address which I provided you. We drove in silence to the address she had given me. जब उन्होंने मुझे ये बात बोली तो मैं और वो चुपचाप जो एड्रेस उन्होंने मुझे दिया था वहां पे हम लोग चले जाते हैं. It was a low building like a small convalescent home with a driveway that passed under a portico. अच्छा, जो एड्रेस उन्होंने दिया था वो ऐसा लग रहा था वो एक बहुत ही छोटा सा मतलब बिल्डिंग है. ठीक है. अच्छा, कॉन्वेलेसेंट का क्या मतलब होता है? कॉन्वेलेसेंट का मतलब है कि एक तो बहुत छोटा है और ऐसा उसको देख के लग रहा है कि बिल्डिंग बहुत बीमार है. और बीमार बिल्डिंग कैसे लगती है? ऐसा नहीं है कि बिल्डिंग को बुखार है, बिल्कुल नहीं. बिल्डिंग का जो कंडीशन है बहुत ही टूटी फूटी हालत में है. ठीक है, तो उन्होंने ऐसा कैब ड्राइवर को ये दिखा कि ये जो बिल्डिंग है, जो एड्रेस ओल्ड लेडी ने दिया था, दैट बिल्डिंग वाज इन वेरी बैड कंडीशन. ओके, फिर क्या करते हैं ये लोग, ड्राइव करते हुए वहां पे पहुंचते हैं. So come with me and let's have a look on the new words. Knick-knack means trinket or small dainty ornament. Curb, check or restaurant. Downtown, adjacent of the lower or more central part of a town or city. Poor spice, home for people who are ill, especially terminally or destitute. Glistering, shine like a weight of polished surface. Glitter, sparkle. Warehouse, building in which goods are stored. Convalescent means recovering from a illness. Okay, now two orderlies came out to the cab as soon as we pulled out. They were solicitous and intent watching her every move. अच्छा, जब जैसे ही मैंने अपनी कार पार्क की उस बिल्डिंग के सामने, दो लोग निकल के आए बाहर और वो उन लोगों को देख के ऐसा लग रहा था कि वो उस ओल्ड लेडी के हर मूवमेंट को बहुत ही केयरफुली ऑब्जर्व कर रहे हैं. They must have been expecting her. Okay, और उन दोनों लोगों को देख के मुझे ऐसा फील हो रहा था that this two person are expecting the arrival of this old lady. I opened the trunk and took the small suitcase to the door. The woman was already seated in a wheelchair. अच्छा, जब हम लोग वहां पे पहुंच गए तो मैंने पीछे का ओपन किया गेट और वहां से मैंने स्मॉल सूटकेस निकाला और जब तक मैं स्मॉल सूटकेस निकालता तब तक वो ओल्ड लेडी ऑलरेडी व्हील चेयर पे बैठ चुकी थी. How much do I owe you? She asked, reaching into the purse. And now that old lady was searching money in her purse because she has to pay. Okay, so she asked, young man, can you please tell me how much I have to pay? Nothing, I said. So I said, no, ma'am, you don't need to pay anything. You have to make a living, she answered. And immediately that old lady said, no, you have to take money because you have to earn money for your own living. There are other passengers. So immediately I said, no, ma'am, thank you so much. There are other passengers, okay, who are going to board my cab and I will take money. Okay. Almost without thinking, I bent and gave her a hug. She held on to me tightly. अच्छा, मैंने कुछ भी नहीं सोचा, इमीडिएटली मैं आगे जाता हूँ, मैं उनको हक कर लेता हूँ. ठीक है, क्योंकि मैंने उनको हक इसलिए किया था क्योंकि मुझे उनसे बहुत ही इमोशनल अटैचमेंट हो गई थी. ठीक है, और जब मैंने उनको हक किया, दैट ओल्ड लेडी ऑल्सो हग्ड मी टाइटली. You gave an old woman a little moment of joy, she said. Thank you. The old lady said, young gentleman, today you give, okay, today you give a very precious moment to this old lady. So thank you so much for providing me such a precious moment of my life. I squeezed her hand, then walked into the dim morning light. Behind me, a door shut. It was the sound of the closing of a life. So, my dear students, when she thanked me, I immediately squeezed her hand like this, okay, and देन वॉकड इनटू द डिम मॉर्निंग लाइट. फिर उसके बाद जब मैंने उनके हाथ को स्क्वीज किया ऐसे, जब उन्होंने मुझे थैंक्स बोला, तब मैं वापस चला जाता हूँ और मुझे ये आवाज़ सुनाई देती है कि मेरे पीछे दरवाज़ा बंद हो गया है. आई कैन इमेजिन एक्चुअली दिस इज नॉट द साउंड ऑफ shutting off a door. Okay, actually this is the sound of shutting off a life, shutting the door of a life. Okay, I didn't pick up any more passengers that shift. मैंने उस शिफ्ट में किसी और पैसेंजर को बोर्ड नहीं किया. I drove aimlessly, lost in thought. Okay, I was driving aimlessly because I was completely lost in my thought. For the rest of that day, I could hardly talk. उस पूरे दिन में मैंने बहुत कम बातें की. What if that woman had gotten an angry driver or one who was impatient to end his shift? And why I was quiet for the whole day? Because I was just thinking that in place of me, instead me, maybe that old woman boarded the cab of that driver who was impatient in nature, okay, who got irritated by listening the continuous talking of that old lady. What if I had refused to take a run and had honked once, then driven away? And suppose what happened if I honked the horn of a car only for 1 or 2 times? Okay, what happened if I didn't wait for her for longer time? Or on a quick review, I don't think that I have done anything more important in my life. This is just felt great. अच्छा, अब मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि इससे ज़्यादा अच्छी चीज़ मैं अपने लाइफ में कुछ कर ही नहीं सकता था. मैंने अभी तक अपने लाइफ में सबसे अच्छी चीज़ यही की थी. एंड एक्चुअली दिस फीलिंग गिव्स मी इमेंस प्लेजर. ओके, सो कम विद मी एंड लेट्स डिस्कस द वर्ड मीनिंग्स. Solitude, showing interest or concern, intention or purpose. So, my dear student, you can see what a beautiful emotional message this chapter has given us. Okay, जो moment इस driver के लिए कुछ भी नहीं था, but वो moment उस lady के लिए कितना ज़्यादा precious था, because she was counting the last days of her life. Okay, so I hope, my dear student, you completely understood this chapter. Okay, so go thoroughly through this chapter and complete the exercise based on this chapter. Now I'm taking leave and going to meet with you all in my next video with a new chapter. Till then, take very good care of yourself. Bye.